A new study suggests nicotine use among teenagers is at its highest rate since the 1990s. Driving the resurgence is nicotine pouches. Joining me now is Flory Doucas with the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So after years of progress on getting smoking rates down, especially among teenagers, these results must be frustrating, worrying.
Yes, it's a huge concern. I mean, we appear to be winning the war against tobacco. Smoking rates are continuously declining. It's a very slow decline, but we're progressing, especially among youth. Unfortunately, we seem to be losing the battle when it comes to nicotine addiction. And that's the center of it all. That's why people smoke, because they were addicted to nicotine, and that's why they continue to especially uptake vaping and now nicotine pouches. So
Can you just explain what these nicotine pouches are, just for people who might not be aware?
So they're little, I'd say kind of like a miniature tea bag the size of my thumbnail, and you're supposed to use it between your cheek and your gum, and there's nicotine in there. The legal products have the equivalent of what would be a cigarette, but we also find illegal products on the market, and those have typically have much more nicotine. And so it's a product that's like not smoked, and that's good. There's no combustion, but it doesn't mean it's harmless. And whereas they were supposed to be targeting and used by people trying to quit smoking, now we're seeing nicotine naive users, that's people who are not who've never smoked, start to use them, and that's especially true among young youth.
And so do you have any sort of sense of why we're starting to see this uptake among young people? Are there flavored versions of these that are perhaps more marketable to younger people, younger users?
So it's important to note that when the study was done by the team of the Université Laval and the Quebec City Public Health Unit, we didn't have the federal restrictions that are now into force, that have been into force now for over a year. So the good news is that the federal government did intervene, and it was done pretty swiftly to control flavors, to make sure that these products were across the country only sold at pharmacies and carried behind the counter. You still don't need a prescription, but measures were taken to make them less accessible to youth. But that said, the products in and of themselves are very attractive. They were initially, when manufacturers put them on the market, and there was only one product that was on the market legally. It was Sonic by Imperial Tobacco. It came in a variety of flavors. It was heavily, aggressively marketed with lifestyle advertising showing young adults using the products when they could not smoke or vape, but in very social settings, watching a hockey game at a cafe or a bar. And so all of that type of lifestyle advertising that we had seen for tobacco decades ago, we were now seeing with this new generation of nicotine products.
Of course, there is a lot of concern about the nicotine pouches, but also vaping is still a big problem among teens. Can you talk about what the study found in terms of just how many young people are using vape products right now?
Vaping products remain accessible across the country. They can be sold in the internet legally because of the federal regulation. You have provinces that have clamped down on flavors, but provinces are struggling to enforce those restrictions because the federal environment is so permissive. And so this study, what it highlights is that governments need to do a lot more in terms of vaping to control flavors and probably packaging. And, not in this part of this study, but since the health minister was nominated last spring, the new health minister, Marjorie Michel, it turns out that there's 22,000 extra young people that have started to vape. And so that's where we need action. The good news is that we did the federal government did do restrictions on vaping pouches. And I'm not saying this situation is under control, but what's totally out of control is vaping. And we need a lot more to be done on that front.
All right. Flory Doucas with the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control. Thanks very much for your time.